Welcome back to the episode 9 of the Dharma Dank podcast, and let us call into this space the Vairochana Buddha, the Multiverse Buddha, with the countless worlds, different versions of you. And let's call into this space the highest version of yourself that exists within you all the time. Let us call those things into this space, into this mindscape of this podcast. And the theme of today's episode is what you are seeking is seeking you. And if you are hearing this right now, realize that is the case. So one case of this was when I was studying TV writing, and I still write scripts and screenplays for projects. And a writer friend of mine told me about this TV program and how they were having this free lecture series, and you can sign up and register and show up. And I was showing up to all the things because it was free and it was open to the public. And the professor kept seeing me, and he started to be suspicious about my presence. And my friend even told this professor, "Hey, what the fuck? Like, leave him alone. He's signed up. He's supposed to be here." Because I don't know, I think he thought I was kind of grimily entering the program or something. But, I didn't do anything, that was against the rules or anything. So anyway, he had this one meeting where he had a TV producer show up, and he had his two or three top students pitch to this producer. And then there was going to be a drawing for another person in the audience that could pitch their project if they have a chance to, right? So his I think it was two pupils, they pitched their projects, and the director, the executive, he kind of tells them what's issue with it, like what he doesn't understand about it, things like that. And they don't necessarily do that well, right? And then they pull a name out of this hat and they call my name, and I'm like, holy shit, right? So I go up there and then I talk about this story as it personally relates to me, a story about UFOs, okay? And the project is called Send in the Drones. And basically, I've noticed how actors, in the end, they have to pursue other things because acting might not, pan out, right? Because you don't have control over your career. And I'm interested in how that happens, right? That's how I started the pitch, right? And this is a show that takes place in 1968. And it's about an actor in New York, and she is struggling, but she's starting to really, gain some traction finally. And she hears about this reclusive genius actor who disappeared a while ago, who shows up at one of her shows, and she performs really well, right? And he disappears. Then she has more projects, going, but then she's told that a year later that she's been accepted into this acting program that pays you, a lot of money to work with this reclusive genius actor. And she's realized this could be an opportunity, so she decides to go for it, and it's in Arizona. When she gets there, she finds out, it's actually this CIA op, right? It's part of the Air Force, and the show's called Send in the Drones, and it's about this team of creatives. They're Air Force people, volunteers, people in the Air Force, theater people, actors, and their job is to convince the public that aliens exist, because aliens do not exist, and all UFOs are American, right? So this team of creatives, they do the abductions. They are the Men in Black, stuff like that. And the reclusive actor, he becomes the leader of this group because he's short, fat, and bald and old. And when he went to Hollywood to make a bunch of money, no one cared for him, so he didn't do very well. And that's why he became a recluse, and that's when the Air Force found him. Because in New York, in the theater scene, he was huge, right? But not in LA. It didn't work out. And this actor, she finds out what this is, and she makes them better, she makes them believe in their performances more. And each abduction is based on a true abduction that happened from 1968, and they happen once a month, and then suddenly it goes exponential, because the idea is that they're so successful at what they do that abductions are reported by other people all the time, because people don't realize it becomes a cultural meme, right? And that success ultimately shuts down the program. But it gives her enough money and an opportunity to do other things, And like the show ends in like 1972. It's like a 4-year show, 68 to 72. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's weird, and it's dark too. And I know a lot of people have been wondering what I am, and I'm not necessarily Buddhist. I like Buddhist ideas. I think we are all. A lot of Buddhism is just philosophy and truth. I'm more like a Taoist existentialist, and I take a little bit of everything that I like and I use it because I believe I create reality. This is due to the fact that I had an experience when I was 12 where I was in Korea and I had to be out in this camp, and at night there was like a bunch of water in a jug in one silver bowl for like 30 kids, and I was like, that's gross. I'm not gonna drink that. And but by the third night I was so thirsty I didn't care, and I crawled out and I drank the water, and it was so good. I felt so stupid for thinking this was dirty. It was like a dirty thing to do. My mind was making it dirty, but it was so beneficial and essential, right? It was delicious. And then I realized my mind was like creating reality. And this is like a similar enlightenment that occurred with the sage named Wonhyo in Korea, who had this similar story happen, but it was with a cup of water that he found that was a skull later on. It was like a reverse. He thought it was great, and then he thought it was gross, and then he puked, and then he realized, wait, they're the same thing. And my mind is like creating reality. And then he realized you don't have to travel anywhere to find the truth, because initially he was traveling to China to get like more original Buddhist texts, like a journey to the West kind of. But he just stopped. He's decided he doesn't have to go anywhere to do it. He can just find it within himself, and everyone can do that. And he decided to never be a monk, because people call him a monk, but he's actually decided to just stay a lay person and travel around Korea. And he was like a folk hero, spreading the Dharma to regular people by clever means, right? There's like a phrase in Buddhism about using clever means to spread the Dharma. He would drink and dance, and this is stuff that the monks were not really allowed to do. And he made love and stuff like that. And I do all the same things. But yeah, I kind of think we are everyone. And there's actually this only one moment which involves all of time. Like everything is happening in the eternal present moment. Like everything at once. And there are times when you can pierce through this illusion, and then you see like space and time and shit. And that's like what we're normally experiencing, but it's also in some way all happening at once. I think that is being more ascertained within physics. So yeah, I'm not necessarily a Buddhist, but I take a little bit of everything. A lot of Buddhism, a lot of like Christ consciousness, Christianity, trickster shit, Taoist, like silly shit, because Taoism is so comedic. It's so easy to find the humor in everything when you see it in Taoism, because Taoism is about how the contradiction of things is where you find the truth. And a lot of comedy is like breaking a pattern, and contradiction usually does that. So Taoism tends to be funny. It's a funny way of looking at life and trying to find the flow of life and just being satisfied where you're at, you know? I have joked about writing a book, like a self-help book called like How to Be Broke and Happy at 40 years old, you know? And yeah, I know millionaires and stuff that aren't necessarily happier. I don't know. I mean, it's risky. It's definitely not without its risks to live on the edge like that. Anyway, and I like the idea that, you know, everything is God, and therefore your own highest self is God as well. And you should worship your own highest self. You should have a mirror on your altar to look at yourself on your altar, or a photo of yourself on your altar. I'm not kidding, because all the gurus, they see their photo on your altar, it makes them blush. So do the same thing. If it makes you blush, that's okay, because your own highest self, again, can't be taken from you. It's not separate from you. You might not be there all the time, but it's there. at a moment's notice. If you just want to, you can shift into the highest self. And that is, one of the great gods I call upon. And I wanted to talk about folded prayer hands, because I realized Christianity does folded prayer hands, and so does Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff for praying, right? But they have completely different origins, it turns out, because in the East, right, folded prayer hands is about like devotion and union, union into one, stuff like that, and devotion to that. Whereas in Christianity, they used to always pray like this. And then during the medieval period, this was based on like giving yourself to like a higher like person in the feudal system. And then you have your hands like this, and they would put their hands over your clasped hands to accept being like owning over you, hoarding, whatever. And you're giving yourself up. So it's like a devotion thing in Christianity. But like giving up, surrendering. But in the East, it's more devotion. It's different, but they look the same. But they have a different kind of nuance to them. And I do think the Eastern version is a little more fun and playful. And I think playfulness is good. And I don't know if you realize, but karma seems to have been completely misunderstood in the West. Because people think karma is like, you get what you give. Yeah, what goes around comes around. But in the East, karma is seen more like through many lifetimes. Because the truth is, unconsciously, most people in the West, in a monotheistic culture, think with this one life idea. And so karma happens in the one life. But in the East, where reincarnation is very much a real thing, karma is about many lifetimes. So you might suffer this whole lifetime because you were evil in a past lifetime, and that's why it's happening. Not because you did anything in this lifetime. And you can be great in this lifetime and still suffer. But in the next lifetime, you'll do better. Okay? You might be a spoiled rich person and then suck and then go backwards, right? And that's how it's seen, so that it's more like, it's a way to take on suffering and let it diffuse into a multitude of lifetimes. And that's not how it's done in the West, right? And that's like, I don't know if people realize that that's been completely misunderstood. So like when I think of karma, right, in terms of the West, I mean, okay, also, if that's true, right, if karma happens in your lifetime where you come back in whatever, that means reincarnation happens in your lifetime and Nirvana happens in your lifetime. If you're like looking at this from that scope, from that one lifetime frame, that means every time you have a great realization and you change, you're a new person. It's another lifetime. You have new lives this way as you live a life. And then when you die, eventually you reach Nirvana, or you reach it earlier, if possible, or you realize you have it now. Because that's the thing about Nirvana. It's supposed to be like there. It's right there. You're just not, sometimes you're not there, but it's there. So anyway, yeah, if karma is thought of that way, then reincarnation has to be thought of that way as well, like multiple times. If karma is happening in one lifetime, then reincarnation is happening in one lifetime, and then Nirvana. Regardless, it's just nice to get it sooner, okay, folks, to like feel it sooner, and it's not that hard. And I'm always concerned about the commodification of thought, especially in this marketplace, capitalist-driven society, where if you have thoughts, you can write books about your thoughts, and if you change your mind, people think you're a fraud because you can't change your mind because you double, triple down on this idea. You made a lot of money off of it, and you have a brand off of it, and you might be biased towards, keeping that idea more rigidly, even though there's evidence against your idea. Because the truth of wisdom is knowing you're stupid, and you can learn all the time, and you can be wrong all the time. But when you commodify thought, it can, pressure you not to do that anymore. That's a problem about that. So, something to consider when you're coming up with ideas and plans. Keep them fluid and go with the flow, Make plans, but go with the flow. See where it takes you. You don't have to make it too solid. Just have a strong idea of where you're going. Just go for it. And I don't know if you know this, but I wanted to relate how the Buddha died of food poisoning. Buddha was like 85. He visited this, I think it was a butcher or something, Butcher made a meal, and then so it was fucked up. The Buddha ate it and he got fucking sick. Probably a lot of people got sick. But he was old. He was like 85, right? So he's dying and he knows it. And the butcher's like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then Nanda, I think, his like servant, his like number 2 or whatever, comes out and he tells him like the butcher that the Buddha is extremely grateful because this is the meal that will finally help him reach Nirvana. Because it's the meal that killed him. And he was so grateful to the butcher. He wanted the butcher to know that. Because he didn't want the butcher to feel bad. What I love about this story is that, in a lot of like holy things or whatever, there is this academic, logical proof idea that if it's silly and embarrassing, like what happened, it's less likely that it's fake. It's more likely it's true. Because it's kind of silly and embarrassing, but it had to be true. That's why it's more likely to be true. Because when they make shit up, it's always grand and illustrious, right? But dying of food poisoning is so like small. And I just really appreciate how he really wanted the guy to not feel bad about it, feel good about it. I can kind of relate to that because I think people have fucked me up, and I didn't take it personally. I think they like that, It's a crazy world out there, crazy stuff. But here we are in spite of all of it, because every time you almost didn't exist, you didn't. There are other Earths where you don't exist. There are countless worlds where you don't exist at all, because this is your world, this is your Earth. You are supposed to be here because the likelihood of you being here is so small that you're not supposed to take this for granted. And you can meditate with other versions of yourself, knowing this. Alright, so we will close with a multiverse meditation and passing off energies to everyone's highest self. Okay. So the way this meditation works is you're going to have the left hand up in the air and your right hand down like this. Your left hand will act like an antenna, taking in like energies. The right hand is like a funnel, pulling this energy around you as you breathe. And you cycle out energy. Okay. Breathe in and out. In through the nose and out through the nose. In and out. Breathe in pain of the world. Exhale love. Breathe in the darkness of the world. Exhale compassion. In with darkness. Out with love as you cultivate this energy. This is the energy of Tonglen. Breathe in and out as you cultivate darkness into light generated around you. now, you'll grab your index finger and a fist to call upon the Vairocana, the Multiverse Buddha. Breathe in and out. Darkness into light. Darkness into light. Hands back. Breathe in and out. Now know that in an infinite multiverse there are other versions of you, and they might be meditating with you right now. In an infinite multiverse, the moment you imagine that you are meditating with other versions of yourself, you are in fact doing it right now. Now breathe in and out with these other versions of yourself. And out. Breathe in the darkness of these other worlds. Exhale love and light onto your world. Breathe in the wisdom of these other worlds. Exhale it down into your world. In with the other worlds. Down to your world. Breathe in these versions of yourself. Out. Now with your in-breath, pick up this energy and push it out to everyone's highest self on this earth. This energy of unification and love. Lift up this energy. Push it down into your household, your neighborhood, your city. Lift this energy up. Push it into yourself as other versions of you are pushing this energy into you. Again, pick this energy up. Push it out to everyone's highest self. Up into this home, state, city, people around. Up into your own heart. Put your hands back in position. In and out. Put your finger in your fist. Breathe in and out towards the Vairocana, multiversal Buddha and your highest selves. Prayer hands. Back to position. Breathe in. Darkness of your world and out with light, compassion. In, out. And then we're going to close with 3 final breaths. In the darkness of the world and out with all is love. In with the darkness of your world. Love is all. In all is love. prayer hands, fold that shit. And that's it. So, yeah, the idea is you cultivate energy across the multiverse with other versions of you in a mandala. And you produce Tonglen energy, which to me is one of the most powerful energies that exists. It's when you unify darkness into light and become an engine of change. It's an energy of change. You can send it out to different things for healing, to giving energy to people. And as long as you believe it's real, it works. Try it. See if it works. If it doesn't work, right? There's something about your ability to shift reality and using your own placebo effect to do that. So, thank you for coming on this journey with us through, the infinite multiverse. Talking about pretty random topics and food poisoning, because food poisoning is rough. It's rough, but it happens. You know what I'm saying? So, until next time, take care, everyone, and remember, all is love. Love is all. Peace out.